Hey, Tripp Kramer here from TrippAdvice.com. I have next to me Mr. Adam Lyons, famous dating coach, actually rated the #1 dating coach in the world. And that's why I have him here, because he's got amazing tips, practical stuff, good stuff to tell you to help you get girls. And on today's video, we're going to be talking about how do you get a girl to like you quickly. And this is probably not what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, there's like something you do to get her to like you. But that's not what it is at all. It's actually very different, the exact opposite. How do you spot the girl that's going to like you quickly? And Adam knows how to do it. Adam, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so when I first started being identified as a dating coach, like 2006, FHM came out to validate whether I could do what I do. And I was followed by a journalist who would watch me go up to women. And sometimes there's actually a video on YouTube of me within 60 seconds meeting a girl on the street and making out with her. And they were like, oh my God, this is crazy. And everyone believed it was because I did something. And I suppose I did. What I did is I identified girls that wanted to make out with somebody within 60 seconds. And they're a lot more common than you think. If you think about you when you're single and you're lonely and you're sad and you're upset and you're on your own, and you're like, man, if the right person came along right now, I just totally would make something happen. And there are girls like that. And there's some great books about this subject. Sperm Wars is one of the good ones. And then there's a book on female infidelity and patterns of male behaviors, which I can never remember the title of the book, because it's like I just showed Tripp. It's like that long textbook you get in school.
It looks like something you get in school.
Yeah, it's one of those. But anyway, in the books, they identify and they talk about how for 1 week every month when a woman is ovulating, they're a lot more open to having casual sex or having sex with a new partner or somebody completely different. And if you can identify what it looks like when one of these girls is doing that, then you have a great chance of making something happen very quickly. When in reality, you're not making anything happen. They're making it happen quickly. You're just capitalizing on it. And statistically, it's 1 week out of every 4 a woman is ovulating. So if you go in a room and there's 80 people in there, there's a good chance that 20 of the women in that room at that time are ovulating and are down to be with somebody, especially if they're single.
But how do you spot that? Because that's the thing. It's like, okay, so now we know a girl could be more interested in having sex with you or being with you if she's about to be ovulating. You said 7 days before, right? How do you know? You're not going to go up and ask them.
No, yeah, they're walking around and being like, hey, is your period in 10 days? Great, let's talk.
And slap in the face.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a psychologist by the name of Moore in 1980 that identified 51 different signs that a woman is interested in a man. That doesn't mean that like you get one of these and you're like, woohoo, let's go to bed. But there are 51, and what she noticed was that the frequency increases. So they'll do one, and then you'll get another one a minute later. But then as attraction increases, they get closer and closer. You get one every 10 seconds. And so when I meet somebody, I'll look for one of the 51 signs, and then I'll wait and see how long it takes for the next one. And then I'll try and escalate and see if I can bring them closer together. The closer they get, and you're doing this in 60 seconds, it gets closer and closer and closer, and you're like, this is good, I can do this, because they're moving rapidly. I cannot remember all 51 off the top of my head, and it would make this video very, very, very long. But if you want, I can give you the ones that I remember, just offhand. So,
cool, yeah.
All right, so the first are glancing. This is if a girl is in communication with a girl or another guy, and they're not on a date, they're just like talking, but she's not looking at the guy, and instead she's like looking around at everyone else. That's a sign that she might be ovulating.
Even if she's with other girlfriends too? So yeah. Anybody.
Because if you look at a group of girls, they'll typically all talk to each other and look at each other. But if one of them is actively looking at other people in the room, that's usually a good sign. And none of these are guaranteed. These are just indications. Of course, there is a chance she's just looking around. But more often than not, if you see a number of these, you're probably in the right place. And what she's doing is she's scanning male faces, looking for a genetic match. Subconsciously, but that's what she's doing. If, by the way, she looks at you and smiles, that is what we call a female invitation to approach. That is a woman literally saying, hi, nice to meet you. She's picking you up. They'll look and they'll smile. Socially, in Western culture, that's really the only thing that's acceptable. So if she's doing that, locks eye contact and smile, you approach that person. That's how you're going to make something happen in 60 seconds. A common one that people know is the hair flick, but more identified, the hair has to be repeatedly pushed back behind the ear, usually 3 times in less than 10 seconds, or 3 or more. And that's because she's trying to hear what you have to say. And the more she does that, it's more that she wants to make sure she hears you, and she cares about hearing because she's analyzing you as a prospective person she might date. Again, subconsciously, and sometimes her hair is just in her ear. All of these you've kind of got to take them with a grain of salt.
Right.
We're looking for the repeated ones. A request of help is a big one. So if someone says, hey, can you help me with this? And then any kind of physical body contact. One of my favorite things to tell people is, you imagine a girl in a club and there's like a really smelly, maybe a hobo in the middle of the club. She has to go from A to B, crossing the path of that hobo. She will make the biggest detour to not touch them physically. In contrast, if she's walking through the club and you're in the middle of the club and she touches you, puts her hands around your waist to move you to the side, that's a sign of interest. She would do everything she can to not touch you if she wasn't interested. If she's touching, she's interested. Again, interest doesn't mean that she necessarily wants to sleep with you then and there, but it's a really good sign that that's the route. So if I'm in a bar and I see a girl and she's looking around and then she looks at me and she smiles, and let's just say I wasn't confident enough to go over and talk to her, and then she gets up and she walks across the bar, and then as she's walking across the bar, she bumps into me and moves me to one side, and then she says, actually, could you help me and just, could you attract the bartender's attention so I can get a drink? I'm like, wow, in the last 25 seconds, I just got 3 of these signs, one after the other. This is a 60-second attraction.
All right, Adam, give us another one of your best tips to really spot one of these girls who is interested in meeting a guy fast.
Okay, so the absolute biggest one is touch, but there is one spot. If a girl touches you in this one place, you know. Like, I almost about shadow it out. Maybe not that she's ovulating, but probably. But this is a girl who, like, wants you, without a doubt. And that's if she takes 2 hands and touches your stomach. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a student that will talk to a girl, she grabs his stomach with her hands, and he walks away. And I'm like, dude, what's up? And he's like, well, she's testing to see if I have abs, and I don't, so I'm running away because I don't have abs. I'm like, no, girls don't touch a guy to see if he's got abs. They touch a guy because they're already attracted.
Right.
And there was the whole dad bod thing. Like, a lot of women like having some meat there. They like being able to hold something. They want a guy who feels like a guy. And so when their hands come and touch your stomach, that's actually a huge sign that's almost they're ready for a makeout. And just as a bonus one, if you can ever get your forehead to touch, they're gonna make out with you. And so most of the time, rather than trying to get a kiss, if I see all these signs and I wanna go for like a makeout in 60 seconds, I'll actually focus on just trying to get our foreheads to touch, not trying to get a makeout. Because if I can hold her, give her a hug, and then rest my head on hers, and she rests back, and then as we pull away, she smiles, and I put my head and we get forehead to forehead, I know that's a makeout. And so from the forehead, then you can kiss.
Nice. Listen to this. Use this stuff. See if it works for you. I want to hear from you. Write a comment down below if you ever are noticing this stuff when you're out and about. And also, if you want more practical, really good information to get girls to chase you instead of you chasing them, I want you to go to the description down below. There's going to be a link to a blueprint which we co-created to teach you exactly step-by-step how to get these girls to come and chase you. Check it out. It's free, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.